Well, thank you for that, and welcome members and staff and members of the public. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. Right, we can start with item number, what are we up to? 2, apologies. So I have apologies from Mayor John Fennell, Councillor Wahine Murch and Councillor Kylie Leonard. I don't believe we have any others. Do I have a mover? Yeah, thank you. Seconder? Yvonne? All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Are there any conflicts of interest pertaining to any items in the agenda today? No, there being none, we'll move on. Confirmation of the minutes, meeting held 19th of May 2026. Are there any amendments to the minutes before I call a mover and a seconder? No, in that case, can I have a mover and a seconder that those minutes be accepted? Don't all jump at once. Yvonne moving and seconded by Councillor Campbell. Thank you very much. All right, well, we'll move to the public forum. Standing item on the agenda, so I'll call Mr. Scott Davenport up to the presenters table. You'll have 5 minutes, Scott, and following that there might be some questions of clarification.
I feel like it. Thank you, everyone. I shouldn't take the full 5 minutes this time. This one hopefully is quite a simple one. I'm dealing with a client, Mr. and Mrs. Belsham, who live in Kinloch, and he's got a boat and he wants to park the boat on his property. He did previously have his boat parked in Trevorterry Marine for many, many years, and as you know, that site's closed down as part of a significant commercial development. We've been working on an application for about 18 months to get this boat shed in place, and the biggest issue we've got at the moment is the segregation strip that runs down Kinloch Road. And for those who don't know what a segregation strip is, it's a small little 300mm piece of land owned by council to basically prevent access onto roads. Now what's happened, obviously with the commercial development down the road being approved, is they have approval to go through that seg strip. They've got a couple of accesses into the back of the commercial area, and so it's kind of set a bit of a precedent in terms of access onto this road. Now, just to be clear, Mr. Belsham only wants to use this to park his boat. This is his holiday home. He actually has a berth in the Kinloch Marina, so when he comes up on holiday, he pulls his boat out of the shed, sits in the marina, and then gets put back in when he goes. So maybe 6 to 12 months, 12 times a year if he's lucky that he can get up here and actually use it. And the main purpose is just so that he can leave his gear on his boat, park it safely and securely, and it's tidy on its section. And he's actually been using the back of his property the whole time he's owned it. So there's been a gate there for many, many years where he's basically had an informal access. So what we're trying to do is basically legalise it, put a proper crossing in place. We've gone away and got a traffic impact assessment from a traffic engineer to confirm that there's no traffic safety issues, which was one of the questions we got asked from council officers. And so we believe we've addressed all the boxes in terms of safety, precedent and character of that site, and that's also what's in Anoop's report to you in terms of the agenda items. So we're obviously seeking an approval to allow for a basically a right-of-way access over that seg strip for that 6 metre width.
And that's all you got?
That's it.
Yeah,
easy.
Brilliant. Didn't need the full 5 minutes. I'll just ask the members if there are any questions of clarification. That's right. Councillor Campbell.
No, just out of interest, is the current arrangement, informal as it is, I mean, around the place? I know it'll be a curb, I suppose, which is awkward to get something over, but many times I've seen people use informal arrangements, just put a steel plate, that sort of thing. I know that's not desirable, but what brought him to the point that he thinks he needs something more than just the informal current arrangement?
Yeah, so the difference in this case is we need a resource consent for the shed itself, and we can't get the resource consent without actually getting some sort of formal approval to access it.
So you need vehicle access to build a shed? Seriously? Really?
Yeah, so in this case, it's quite clear what the purpose of the shed for is part of the consent, that it's a boat shed with an opening onto the road, and so council planners rightly have said, well, how are you going to access it when you don't have legal access?
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chair. I don't generally see anything wrong with this. I just want to ask the question, do you think that this will set any sort of precedent for any others who maybe in the area and think that they want to do the same thing? And if that does, is that a negative impact on us at all?
Yeah, so the precedent's kind of already been set in terms of the approval for the commercial development next door, in terms of access through that seg strip. There's not many properties that are similar to this, though, where they're on a corner site, and so they've actually got two road frontages. Most sites are actually set back and kind of developed along that road that actually access is pretty much impractical. And I guess precedent, is it a concern if they have to come to you each time and ask for go through the same process as this, which is a formal process, and so you get the opportunity on a case-by-case basis, and if they want to go to the effort to get a traffic report to address traffic safety and all those costs, then you can look at that on its merits.
Thank you. I did see there's a significant amount of work there in the report, so they've obviously had to go through quite a bit just to get this little strip. So I guess if anybody else tries to do the same thing, they're just going to have to go through the same process. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Greenslade, you've got a question.
Thank you. So my understanding, Scott, is it's just a matter of basically them driving over the strip to access the shed. They're not going to impede the access of pedestrians or anybody else. It's only momentary, isn't it, that we're talking about?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
So they'll have a requirement to put in a proper vehicle crossing in accordance with the code of practice like anyone else, because if you don't do that, then you cause damage to the curb and the grass and those kind of things.
Absolutely. Yes.
And it also, the vehicle crossing actually then creates a clear delineation for pedestrians to realise that there can be potentially be an access through that point.
Yeah.
So when the gate opens, the gate's closed 99% of the year, but if the gate does open and someone comes across a vehicle crossing like any other road that they walk on, they would realise that there's potentially going to be a vehicle
So there's
coming.
going to be a fence there as well as a shed?
Yeah, so there's already a fence there. He will replace the current gate with an electronic gate,
Yeah.
because what he wants to ensure is that when he comes up, he can open the gate, put his boat in, and then close it, so that's not just left. So basically, once he's finished, you'll still have a nice timber fence all that way down there. So, and it means that he then doesn't need to stop on the road to open a gate. He can just press the button, and it reduces safety issues.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thanks for that. Duncan, I'll come to you in a minute. I'm just going to remind the members we've still actually got a paper to discuss this, and we will have the chance to ask staff questions and go into debate then. So if you've got another question of clarification, Duncan, then...
Oh, just a quick question of interest. I mean, me being in the transport profession, I just haven't come across, I mean, there's different mechanisms, I'm sure, but I just haven't, I'm just out of interest, I haven't come across these sort of strips used as before. Are they common, or is it just a Taupō thing?
Yes, they are. They are common. We do have a few of them in Taupō. There's one down Hooker Falls Road, which you may have come across in the past with issues with people getting access in the back of their property on the Hooker Falls Road. They've generally been put in the past when a subdivision or a development's been designed and the road corridor was probably inappropriate at that stage for access. So Hooker Falls Road was a classic one that used to be pretty much a 100k road, no development through there, and so the seg strip was completely for a good purpose to stop illegal access. Kinloch has been kind of designed a similar way. They've kind of designed the main road into Kinloch to reduce access onto that road, but again, that's going right back to the 60s when it was a small little village. You've now got development all up that road, so it's quite a different position now.
All right. Are there any other questions from the members? If not, then I'll thank you for your time, and
Thank you.
if I could have a mover and a seconder that we receive the information from the members of the public. Mover, Councillor Woodward, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Westerman. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Okay, we'll move on to item 5.2, which is the request for a new licence for Taupō Disc Golf. I believe we have some speakers. You might want to let Mr. Perkins know that we're at his agenda item.
Yeah, ready.
All right. Right, could we have Billy to introduce the item in the first instance? Thanks, Billy.
Through the chair, good afternoon. Billy V, Kai Tohu Tohu Paparahui, Reserves Advisor with the Parks and Reserves team. So I'm here to present the deliberation report of the submissions received during the consultation period as a result of the committee agreeing in principle to grant a new licence to occupy to Taupō Disc Golf Club Incorporated for a term of 10 years. So we received 834 submissions, with majority supporting the recommendation, but we did have 13 opposing. The opposing views highlighted concerns about litter and negative behaviour. Whilst I do believe all these opposing views are valid, I do just want to highlight that litter and negative behaviour are not specific to Spa Park and something experienced across reserves and other public land in the district. There are other recreational users of the reserve that may be responsible for this behaviour, so we will never know who's doing what. However, I do want to acknowledge the health and safety concerns that were raised in the opposing views. This is something that I believe we can work with the club to rectify should anything occur. They do have public liability insurance for situations like this. And I guess with the Parks and Reserves team, we will just continue to maintain the reserve, i.e. mowing, cleaning the toilet block and emptying rubbish bins at the agreed level of service. So, because Spa Park is a non-rateable property, there are no additional costs for council to recover. So, given this licence for the disc golf assets, or specifically for the assets, this will not provide exclusive use of the reserve. Therefore, it's just a concessional fee of $1. I have received support from Tuta Mahuta it was a letter, but I didn't get a response from Patu Iwi Trust or other Hikuwai representatives. I'll leave it at that for now, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Well, perhaps we can call the speakers up at this point. I think we've got Ken Harris in the room and Nate Perkins online. Why don't you pop on up, Ken? You can address everybody, and then maybe some questions at the end.
Do you guys want me to go first, or do you want Nate to go first?
Entirely up to you.
All right. Nate, do you have a preference?
You go first, Ken.
Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak today on behalf of not just myself, but the people who love and care for the Spa Park Disc Golf Course. Many of you have seen me on several occasions before, talking often for too long about what our club has done, the events we've put on, where the course stands in the world rankings, and money that's been brought into the district via all the actions above. And while all those things are obviously very important things, I don't typically get a chance to go into any detail about what disc golf means to me, why I love the course, and I guess what it stands for. And that is really why the course kind of exists in the first place. When I was about 16 years old, this is back in the late 90s, I was growing up outside Chicago, Illinois. My friends said we should go play Frisbee golf. And I was up for most anything, so why not? And from that point on, I had a love for the game. Not because I was good, which I'm still not good, but because the game to me sort of symbolizes that friendship that I have with those guys. And every decent day we had, which in Chicago there aren't actually that many, after school, after work, weekends, we went for a game. And we played a little 9-hole course called Willow Stream over and over again. And I have owned the same 3 discs from when I was 16 years old to when I was about 38 years old, when this course was put in here in Spa Park. And all I spent on disc golf in that time was $25 USD. And over those years, especially before I left home, my friends became like my brothers. I don't have any siblings, so they were as close as I got. And I can't really put a value on that. It's priceless to me. So for $25 USD, I got great return. Ever since I left home, I think I've always been sort of feeling like I'm, missing a piece of that. And when I first walked into Spa Park, a lot of those emotions came back for me. There was obviously no course there at that point, but I was going to give it a go and see if we could get one in. And so the most important thing to me is not necessarily the GDP impact or the international level events or the top 100 ranking. And again, those are all very important things, I fully understand. But the most important thing to me is I feel like I've helped create a path for friendship. And not just for me, but for the 800 plus submissions, for the kids that I've taught in the schools and now see playing, for the oldies out there that we see in big groups playing, for the families that are going together, and especially for the club members that never knew this game existed and didn't know each other 5 years ago, but many of them are now attached at the hip, both on and off the course. Obviously, I own a few more discs now. Don't ask how many and don't tell my wife. But I still have my first 3 discs. And I named hole number 5 Willow Stream Roots after that original course because it reminds me every time I play of where all this started and what this was all about in the first place. And so thank you for giving us that original opportunity to have a course and giving anyone who's curious a chance to find the game and to hopefully make some lifelong friends in the process.
Thanks for that, Ken. Really appreciate your time. Nate, have you got a few words you've got prepared there? You've got a 5-minute window as well if you'd like it. Oh.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. First of all, thank you for allowing me to come on and speak. I'll introduce myself real quick. My name's Nate Perkins. Actually, I'm from the United States, but I feel like I'm part Kiwi at this point. I've spent the last 4 winters in New Zealand. It just has a special place in my heart. I work as a broadcaster for the largest disc golf tour in the world. It's called the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's mainly in the United States and Europe. But we are expanding our international event schedule for 2027 and on. And I am also a co-founder of the New Zealand tour, the Tour Down Under. And so I've spent a lot of time in Taupō, and I know Ken and Steve really well. And I've played a decent role in contributing, to the success of TDU. But Ken, great points there. I think that we can't really speak enough about what disc golf brings to communities. I think we can all agree that there's a lot of data that backs the epidemic that's going on about children spending too much time indoors, and disc golf is frankly one of the more accessible sports in the world. Not only because it's cheap, but for the manner in which it's played. You don't need a team. You don't necessarily need organization. As Ken mentioned, you $25, you get a few discs. You can have those discs for a lifetime, and you don't have to wait for anybody else. A mom and dad can drop their teenagers off at a disc golf course, and they can spend hours there. So it brings so much to every community that has a course. And on the GDP side of it, Ken, I believe, has presented some great stuff to you about what their event and what they've done with their event has brought to the community. But I just also wanted to share what I see as the future for Spa Park and that tournament. Of course, they rebranded the tournament as the Australasian Championship last year, which I feel like kind of broadens the scope of it a bit. I felt like that was a great rebrand. But what I'm working on at the Disc Golf Pro Tour and with TDU is to make this event one of the featured international destinations of the Disc Golf Pro Tour during the off season. And the off season for us is, of course, the prime season for New Zealand. So that's, January, February. It coincides perfectly when Ken and Steve like to run this event. But what we are talking about is we're talking about bringing the live broadcasts. We have 60,000 subscribers. We're also talking about bringing our YouTube production company, Jomez Pro, which has 500,000 subscribers. And so the event would get anywhere between like 3 to 5 million total views on it across our subscriber network and the YouTube algorithm. And also, if as the event grows, which it will, it is absolutely just a premier destination. As it grows, we will be bringing more and more players, of course, which will, these players will be spending money in your town and, booking hotels, booking Airbnbs. But as it grows, we are going to be bringing spectators. It's going to start in the dozens, then it's going to get to the hundreds, and then I see, distant future, I see a place where Spa Park is one of like the global destinations for people to take a vacation and go watch the best in the world play at a basically one of the best places in the world you can watch them, at Spa Park. So just wanted to put that out there, and I think that's it for me. Yeah, thanks for hearing that.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Nate. Your and Ken, actually, thanks for your time, and your passion for frisbee golf is very evident. I'll ask the members if they've got any questions for you, and if not, we'll pass it back to Billy. Sandra, you've got a question.
Thanks. Billy, this might be a question for you. Am I correct in saying that Motuopa and Mangakino also have disc golf?
We might just stick to asking questions of clarification of Ken and Nate at the moment, and then I'll come back. I'll come back to Billy.
Can you answer that question?
Through the chair, I can answer that question.
Yeah.
Yes, so there are currently disc golf baskets in Motuopa and Mangakino. I think Mangakino do it with the golf course, the golf club up there.
Right,
And then Motuopa, it's just, that was a community incentive, but I think the club do have some, like you've supported the Motuopa course as well.
So that was the question, of course, that was where it was going, was when you're talking about bringing overseas people coming, would you be expecting to include the other suburbs outside the Taupō area as well too?
At the moment, the Spa Park course is the only course that's, I guess, up to a certain length and standard for international events. The Motuopa course, while great, is a very short course and 9 holes. The Mangakino course has some crossover holes that don't work well for events. Just the design isn't conducive to hosting. In saying that, many of the overseas players come and they just want to play as many as they can. And so we've seen quite a few internationals come and go and play Mangakino and go and play Motuopa and Rotorua and some of the other courses that are nearby. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
I wanna
Councillor.
add
Nate, you've got an answer there too?
I just want to benefit of the future of that left out is that one of the missions of the Tour Down Under is to grow the game in New Zealand. And for example, I got a grant awarded from the International Disc Golf Club. It's the PDGA, Professional Disc Golf Association. And what I did with that was donate the money to the National New Zealand Disc Golf Club. We got 18 baskets purchased from your manufacturer in New Zealand, and we installed an 18-hole course in Hamilton. And then the TDU pros go to a local school and teach the kids and the teachers. And so we want to do that at every stop we go to. So every year I'm applying for grant money, and every year we have a higher chance to get it because of the reputation of bringing pros to teach the kids. PDJ loves that. They want to see membership growth. And so we're looking to install more courses in, cities around Taupō, or wherever we stop at, so that we can grow the game. And what that'll do is it'll just bring more people to those, smaller cities.
That's great. Thanks, Nate. So have we got any more questions just for Ken and Nate at this point? Yeah, Duncan?
So given that there was some opposition in the submissions, and I guess you've had a look at them, I'm just wondering. I mean, I've played it once. I think I might have done all the holes. How many holes are there? Sorry, is it 18 or is it? Oh yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I play them all. But my question is really, well, clearly there's some concern about conflicting with other park users. Well, among other complaints, but well, I suppose there's two questions. One is, does the club have any suggestions to go some way to addressing those? But then my other part of that question was, are there any particular holes there which are more in the way of the rest of the general public than others? I mean, rejigging the course, would that make any difference?
So your question is, has the club given consideration to some of the feedback that opposes? That's your first question?
That's the question, and,
Okay.
and as part of that question, it's including. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Might that include, if you were going to do anything, might that include rejigging some of the holes to get out of people's way?
Are you clear what the questions are there, Ken?
I can take this as well, Ken, if you don't have an immediate answer, because
That's all right, Nate.
I kind of got a.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
I'll answer this question if that's all right, through the chair. So the conversations, yes, the club are aware. About 3 of them came to the depot sorry, I hope you can hear me, to go through the submissions. And we believe the best alternative moving forward is to have just open conversations about, as these complaints come through, should they come through, I'm happy to reach out to the opposing submitters again. But I guess we talk through it, we have those discussions. Should a basket need to be moved or part of the course need to be altered? That's a conversation for everyone to have, and I think that's probably more practical moving forward, rather than a decision that needs to be made today.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Billy. Councillor Woodward, have you got a question for
Thank
either
you, Chair.
Nate or Ken?
A bit of a question, a bit of a comment. I just want to say I appreciate your guys' overview of what you've shared today. Very passionate, definitely, and it's great to see that kind of passion for an outdoor sport. As you guys were talking about, we need to find ways to get these kids outside, so I definitely respect that. I've got a couple girls myself, and I like to keep them outdoors as much as possible. And just sort of similar to Sandra's question, I'm the ward councillor for Mangakino Polokani, so we do have that disc golf course out there, and just wondering, if it can be, if there's an appetite for that to be incorporated into what you're doing, or how you might, as you said, the Spa Park course works best for you, but how you might promote our areas as well to the players in that come.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Very good question. One thing I did this last year, this year, or earlier in the year, was work with Kiwi Sport, doing an series of inter-school events, sort of culminated in a final tournament. It was put out to all schools within the Taupō district, offered to the Pinelands schools, as well as schools down on the southern end of the lake, as well as all the Taupō local schools here. The Pinelands schools, nor they nor the Turangi side schools, Kurato, etc. Neither one of those took it up at this stage, but the idea was I would do sessions at the Mangakino course, and I would do sessions at the Motuapa course, in addition to sessions at the Spa Park course. Since those schools didn't take it up, I didn't do those sessions, but I'm going to continue pushing with the Kiwi Sport staff to try to get those schools on board. I presented in front of them last year, and I'll present again, hopefully, to try to get them incorporated and get more kids using those facilities, because they are great and should be picked up more by kids. So it's definitely a goal, and I'll certainly keep pushing for it. Yep.
Great, thank you. And just to note, if you need any help, I guess, facilitating the conversation with Whakamaru School, I'm more than happy to help facilitate that conversation.
Councillor Greenslade, you've got a question for Ken
Yes,
or Nate?
well, I just want to pick up on what you've just said, Ken, because I had a telephone call from Sport Waikato yesterday, reaching out to me, asking me how they can get more engagement with our kids in our district. So definitely go back to them, and I was asked for a list, if I would give a list of suggestions, so I will put that on my list of suggestions. Thank you very much, and you're free to email me if you'd like with details, because yeah, they reached out to me specifically asking for suggestions.
And do you mind if I add one? Just to say, I would also love to work, because Kiwi Sport just works with up to intermediate level, but Sport Waikato works with the older kids. And yeah, I would love to. I've not had enough opportunity, a little bit, but not enough with the colleges. I would love to do a college. Okay, sounds good.
I've got our local contact for Sport Waikato here, Veronica. Have you had a bit of time with Veronica? Yeah, I can put you in touch at the end of this anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, if there aren't any further questions for Ken or... Oh, we do. Councillor Westerman.
Well, not too sure who it's to go to, but obviously with these bigger events, which is great to see, is there a charge for entry, and can the park become exclusive on that time or on that day, so we don't cross these problems with people walking through your course?
Yeah, so we charge entry fees to play in the tournaments, but not to spectators. So spectators, and we had quite a few in this last event in January. We aren't able to close the park off at this stage. We do put out quite a bit of public messaging via Facebook, via radio, posters to say, hey, posters at the park, say, hey, the park will be really well used, and obviously a lot of other dog walking areas. If you wanted to go elsewhere, that would be, reduce a bit of that congestion. But yeah, no, we're not able to close it off, given with the agreements that we have with TDC. It would be quite an undertaking, I think, to fence off the whole thing with all the different access points. But we do our best to give people the heads up. And I think generally we see a far reduced amount of dog walking traffic as a result. And it's mainly disc golfers and spectators, I'd say, for the most part. Yeah, and the events, because of all that's going on, I think dog walkers are especially aware. And I don't think that's probably where any conflict is occurring, to be honest. Yeah, and I would say it's just a general round, and we luckily haven't had any incidents. I think people probably feel like, oh, there's discs being flown around, but I think, I like to think the vast majority of the time it's smartly, and with respect for other park users, we give way, that sort of thing. We give heads ups. There's communication can happen in the park, and yeah, luckily there's been no incidents.
And so any proceeds that come in from entry fees, where do the proceeds go?
So yeah, we're incorporated society, so obviously everything stays within the club and then gets used for maintenance, and then it's a lot of course upgrade stuff. We have goals and dreams. Some of that's been discussed here, and so at the moment we are holding a bit of money that we're hoping to be able to use, and presuming that a license is able to be granted, we can potentially have those discussions with the parks team and see what we can keep adding, and we have added quite a bit to the course yeah.
No, that's great. That's good to know. It all just goes back into the regeneration of the club and the course. Yeah,
definitely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time there, Ken and Nate. I'll let you step down, and then I'll open up questions to Billy for the members if you've got any questions of clarification. If not, we'll move straight into discussion and deliberation. No questions? Okay, oh well, thanks, Billy. Would anyone like to speak to the item? Do we have any discussion required? Councillor Greenslade.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Councillor Woodward?
Yeah, pretty similar. Given the amount of submissions that we received, and obviously we're always going to have some that aren't against, and their opinions are always valid, definitely, but we're just never going to please everybody, but it seems that the support is certainly there. Happy.
Any other questions at all? Any discussion? That being the case, can I have the recommendation up on screen? There it is. That the Regulatory Committee agrees to grant a new licence to occupy the Taupō Disc Golf Club to Taupō Disc Golf Club Incorporated for a term of 10 years from the 17th of February 2024 to 16 February 2034 for its disc golf course at Spa Thermal Park pursuant to section 54(1)(d) of the Reserves Act 1977. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that recommendation, please?
Sorry, Chair,
Yeah,
I've just
before
got a
we go any
quick
further.
question.
Yes.
Now that we've read through that recommendation, so we're saying pursuant to the Reserves Act, which we are about to start changing. So So
no.
this will be confirmed before we do anything to the Reserves Act.
We aren't changing the Reserves Act.
Oh, we're not changing the Act, no.
No.
But, that's central.
Yeah.
So this has got nothing to do with our reserves plan that we're...
The reserve management plan omnibus will still go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Happy to move it, Chair.
Okay,
just a
thank
question.
you.
Sorry. Just duration, 10 years, is that, I'm just interested, some leases we get 5 years, some 3 years, 10 years. Why did 10 years pop out for this one?
I'll ask
Probably
Billy
would
to
be
pop
sorry.
back up. This is why I asked you
Sorry. Yeah,
before
yeah,
if you
no,
had a
I-
question for Billy. Thanks, Billy. Sorry about that.
It's okay, through the chair. So the original licence was for a term of 5 years, and to be honest, it went really quickly. It's best to go for a little bit longer, especially for a licence like this. But 10 years felt like it's a more reasonable option.
And I think, but if you're going to invest in the course as well, there needs to be a good tenure. Are you still happy to move? Thank you, Councillor Greenslade. Can I have a seconder for the motion, please? Councillor Campbell. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay. Well done, you. Well done, Ken. All right, we'll move on to item 5.3, application for right-of-way over local purpose reserve. Oh, Nate, thanks for your time. No problem. We've
have to
voted in favour of the recommendation, Nate. So well done.
Through the chair, I think it's the first time we've ever had a submission through somebody who was driving through an absolutely delightful background, and I was more busy watching the sky and the trees while I was listening to you. So you're a first there. Thank you very much.
I'm always on the move. Always on the move. But thank you so much for having me. Good to see you, Ken. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Nate. Thanks very much for your time. Okay, we have Anoop and Roger at the presenters table there for item 5.3, application for right-of-way over local purpose reserve, vehicle access for residential boat shed. So I'll hand over to you to introduce the item.
Good afternoon, Chair and Councillor. My name is Anoop Dahal, and I'm a Senior Transport Engineer, Asset Engineer. So I'm here just to present that proposal for a single vehicle crossing over the local proposed reserve or segregation strip at 139 Kendrick Road. So my assessment has primarily focused on traffic safety, as this is the key consideration for the proposal. Based on the traffic impact assessment we have received, I'm quite satisfied that the proposal can operate safely. Vehicle can safely enter and leave the site in forward direction, and site distance is well above the required standard. And there is no recorded crash history at this particular location, and the expected traffic generation is very low. So overall, the proposal is not expected to have any noticeable impact on the safety or operation of the Kinloch Road. While the traffic safety has been the main focus of my assessment, I would also ask the committee to consider the amenity values and any precedents this decision may set, as there are similar segregation strip along other properties on Kinloch Road. Thank you. I'm happy to answer the question that committee may have.
Thanks, Anoop. Are there any questions of clarification from the members? Duncan?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, not really a question, just an observation of mine.
Well, I'm just calling for questions at this stage. We can open for discussion at the appropriate time, though. So, Sandra, have you got a question?
Yes, you talked about the traffic safety. I would like to just ask you that what is proposed here probably in fact makes it even safer for the person with the boat, because he is going to drive in forward and then he is going to back into his boat shed and then he is going to drive out forward, which I would think would probably be even safer than if we didn't grant it, where he would just drive in forward and then he would back out. Is that correct? Am I thinking right?
Through the chair, yes, 100% correct, and that was the major part of my assessment for the traffic safety, to make sure that vehicles towing the boat can enter and exit the side in forward direction. So that space within that maneuvering area within the side is proven they can enter or exit the side in forward direction. Thank you.
Councillor Westman, you have a question?
And the owner is going to designate that area for Turning Bay. I know it's on the plan there, but that is his undertaking.
Yes, that's correct. So that's what the proposal is. So as we go through the process, then we can put some sort of condition to make sure that viable and achievable. Thank you.
And I just wondered, question is, was there any consideration given to the fact that the Taupō Golf Club has quite a busy driveway just down from that, and the big roundabout is very, very close to that, and it doesn't seem to come up in any of the photos or comments. I drove out there on Sunday and just pretended I was backing in there, and I had a car kind of come right up behind me pretty quickly. So I just wondered if there was any consideration put into that.
Yes, the assessment report quite thorough, so they haven't specifically considered that golf course, but it's create that general picture saying that projection traffic in next 10 years would be quite minimal, except the next door development that we approved, which is expected to generate about 590 vehicles per day on top of what's already in there. So the existing number of traffic on Kinloch Road is around 1800 with 13% of heavy. So given that consideration, the Kinloch Road itself is a secondary collector, which is very low traffic volume road. So consider all that aspect, that safety is quite minimal.
Thank you for answering that. Any other questions at all?
There must probably another question. So while this owner has the property and, say, consent is given, was there any consideration given to the fact that someone else may not want to use that new shed as a boat shed as such and turn it into a little sleep out or anything like that? There's no restraints on that you think's worthwhile putting in for that? Because the man does have a double garage on the other corner.
The proposal is solely based just for the boat shed at this stage. So any changes requirement would need to go through the process again. So thank you.
Through the chair, I just might add to that the development of the boat shed and the use of the boat shed is part of a separate process, which will be the resource consent process. So that will be evaluated under that. The scope of this document is for the vehicle access across the strip.
Okay, are there any other questions at all? If not, we've got quite a lengthy recommendation on the screen. I don't intend to read through it, so is everybody comfortable with the recommendation as per the paper? Any questions at all? If not, I'll call for a mover and a seconder. In the meantime, Duncan, did you have anything you needed to discuss?
Oh no, just comment, take it or leave it. But for what this is, it just seems quite a lot of reporting for one vehicle crossing. That's all. It seems like quite a lot of work.
Does, doesn't it? Yeah. Look, actually, I'll just, and Roger, thank you for your time. We'll enter into discussion and debate here. Yeah. Noted, Duncan. Yeah, there is a bit of work. All right, we've got a mover with Councillor Woodward. Do we have a seconder at all there? Councillor Greenside.
Sorry, I can't help myself, but
Okay.
I am worried it's setting a bit of a precedent.
Yep.
There is, we've got a reasonably large shopping centre being developed just down the road, and albeit they have had consent to use that same sort of crossing access just on the next block, it does seem to go, it's going to lead to more congestion, and I'm just worried that we are causing a problem, a traffic problem, by allowing this guy to build this garage right on that corner. It is so close to the roundabout and the entrance to the golf club. You know, I'm just sort of concerned that we're backing it, is my discussion point.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything from the members to discuss?
Are we in debate?
We are.
I think that actually the opposite's the case, because the fact that the chap's going to be, well, it might be a woman, is going to drive in and turn and then drive out again. That is always the greatest fear, is people backing out once they've driven in. And I think that staff seem to have covered that quite well with making sure that there's a designated turning area there. You know, what we don't want is him parking his boat on the berm and around the corner there, because actually he's got plenty of room around the corner. He could park it on the berm, which people do all the time, as we know. So,
And I note there's been an informal
yeah.
gate and access anyhow, at least with it being earmarked as an access way. It draws attention to the fact that vehicles have been crossing over it.
Yeah, and exactly. With a vehicle crossing way there, it's a clear indication to anybody using that there is a...
There's a driveway there.
Yeah.
Okay. Duncan, have you finished, Sandra? Have you said what you need to say? Sandra? Duncan, do you have a comment?
No, I mean, looking at it, I mean, if this was Lake Terrace, I'd be more concerned. But I mean, this is a boat which comes out every so often, so I hardly think it's a big deal here.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I've left my light on. But yes, that is a point.
Yeah.
As long as it's while it's being used as a boat storage, that's good. Although they did draw a car in there.
And I note that because we do have that reserve along the road, any other person who wants to formalise access will have to go through the same process. So it's a case-by-case basis. Right. Okay, so I have a mover and a seconder. All those, are we ready to vote? All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Okay, we can move on to item 5.4. Grant a new lease to Taupō Community Childcare Trust at 20 Waikato Street and a licence to occupy adjoining part of Waikato Street. Could I have Janice Rubin to the presenter's desk? And Chris. Hi, Chris. Over to you guys.
Through the chair, I'm Janice Rubin, the Commercial Property Officer in the property team. And for this report, I'll be presenting on a new lease to grant a new lease to Taupō Community Childcare Trust at 20 Waikato Street and a license to occupy adjoining part of Waikato Street. The report provides for the lease and the license. So I'll start with the lease and then the license will follow. To start with, Taupō Community Childcare Trust is a community organization registered under charities. They currently hold a community ground lease at 20 Waikato Street for 14-year term, which expires on 30th June 2029. The trust is requesting for a long-term lease, and this will be for a term of 13 years with one right of renewal for 10 years. And the request for the long term from the trust is to secure the external finance in order to do future development of their buildings, expansion and renovations. And the buildings on the site is owned by the trust, and we are only leasing the land. The rates are for the land is paid by the trust, and so our recommendation for the lease is to surrender the existing lease and grant a new lease from 1st July 2026 for a term of 13 years with one right of renewal for 10 years, plus the at a annual rental of $417 plus agreed outgoings, and there will be a CPI review, annual consumer price index rent reviews. Moving on to the license, this is a unformed part of Waikato Street, which is adjoining to the existing lease land. They have been using this site since 2018 when it was approved by the council then that that a license will be issued to the trust, but unfortunately the license was not formalized, but based on the decision and the approval they used the site, and the site is currently fully fenced and is used by the center for the bike facility for the kids that comes to the center. And now the trust is requesting if this license can be formalized so that they can do some more developments on the site for the kids. And our recommendation for this is to grant a license to occupy to Taupō Community Child Care Trust in respect of that part of Waikato Street. And this will be for a term of 7 years with one right of renewal for 6 years from 1st July 2026 at an annual fee of $1 plus agreed outgoings. As mentioned in the report, we have also consulted the infrastructure team in regards to the license area, as there may be a possibility of having the second bridge, and the transportation team is in support of the lease and the license proposal, and the license will allow for a 12-month termination clause so that we have windows whenever we'll need that land for the bridge, then the license will allow for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Janice. There's probably some questions around the table, if you don't mind. Members, do you have any? I've got a couple of questions myself. Okay, just a couple of questions. I note that we've got rights of renewal in there, which will take the lease out actually to 23 years. Is that the intent, or was it more of a right of first refusal after that first term? I note that a right of renewal is a tenant's right, and therefore, if after that first term that doesn't suit council anymore, we don't have a say in whether or not that's renewed. It's entirely up to the tenant. Is that your intent with that renewal?
Yes.
Because it's essentially a 23-year lease.
Yeah. So we are giving them a term of 13 years.
It's 23 with the right of renewal.
Yes, total term of the lease will be 23 years.
Yeah, okay. And my next question is the license that goes along with that, is that the dates don't align. Is there a reason for that with the lease? Wouldn't it make a bit more sense to align those dates?
We are only giving 7 years with one right of renewal for 6 years, so that. Is
there a reason that term is different to the lease? It would. I'm just asking how you've come to that length of time.
We allowed for, like, if there's a potential for second bridge, then.
That's the reason for the length of that term, was the bridge to allow for that?
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right, no, that's fine. Thank you for that. Any other questions, Sandra?
Yes, I noted those things too, thank you, Chair. So that was why I thought you were better to go. I could see you got them. I just wanted to ask you about the bike track. What is the intention of them with the bike track? Are they going to leave it just exactly the same as it is, or are they going to develop it, or what is their plan?
When we met them, they had shared that they have plans to redesign it and also try to have more facilities for the children to play, like for playing things, and then so they would upgrade bike area and make it more suitable for them.
Because I see a lot of health and safety issues here. You know, there's going to need to be fencing and all sorts of stuff there, which I would have thought would have been relatively expensive for them. Am I right in that, Chris? Would you think that there'd need to be fencing when you look at where it is?
Yeah. Through the chair, it is fully fenced already.
Oh, it's fully fenced already? You can't tell
but
from there, okay.
As you can see from the lease, they're looking to invest in that area, so
Right.
they need security so that they can obviously
Right.
release that funding.
Okay, thanks very much, Ta. That was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Duncan, you're next.
Well, yeah, my question was more or less along those same lines, because I have wandered down that way on occasion every now and then, and I just don't remember. Maybe I wasn't looking hard enough. I don't remember seeing any bike track.
Did you read the you would have read the
Probably not
papers
well
and
enough. Probably not well
diligent,
enough.
because there's a few maps in there for you to have a look at, including photos of the area that's
goodness.
fenced as well. Is there a question, Duncan, or shall I move on?
Oh, sorry, I'll...
Okay. All right. If Councillor Westman, have you got a question?
I just wondered, is the Taupō Community Child Care Trust, have they always been the people operating that site?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd also just like to point out that kids greening are in there as well, doing a little bit of maintenance with the kids. So it's a lovely little spot for our community.
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if this is the right space to ask this question, but where we've got in the photo on page 65, so you've got, and I've noticed this many times going through this area, it's quite a high trafficked area, especially in the afternoon, you know, pick-up time and that, and if they're going to be doing any, you know, further investment into these two areas, car parking, is that something that's on the cards from the childcare centre themselves?
So, Chris, I'm just looking at there's a picture actually in the agenda item that to the left is some car parking. Is that?
Where the white
That's
cars
correct.
are
There is unformed car parking next door, but you are right. It's a conversation we can have with them in future. A lot of these organisations don't have master plans for the area, and they're a bit of ad hoc in the way they design things. So we'll work with them and ensure that they've got parking. And just to add on another note, we've been dealing with the Kura on Rickett Street, and it's completely separate. However, trying to slow traffic down in that area and actually close that area off so we can reduce some of that traffic flow through that space.
I have driven into that kindergarten before, and even driving into there is quite bumpy in that, and then trying to access the bike park. I've got a little one and she absolutely loves that bike park, by the way, so if it does get redone, please do it quickly. She'll be horrified.
Well, I guess if they're going to do any work on it, they need surety of tenure, and that's why they're applying for a lease. Have you got a question, Duncan?
Well, I'm just following up on. No, I'm just interested in the road section.
But do you have a question, or are you wanting to? We can move into discussion now if you like.
Well, it is a question.
Okay.
No, I mean, okay. You're saying yes. I did look at the maps, and I don't see anything labelled bike track. And I'm just interested. Well, which please point it out. Which figure? Oh, well, okay, that's the bike track. It's not labelled the bike track, so that's the bike track. Yeah, okay, so it's not on that. So that section of road is only for.
So, Duncan,
access.
I'm going to ask you again. What is your question?
Oh, but I'm asking it now.
Okay.
So that section of road, the section outlined in blue on page, what is it? 66. That's only for purposes of vehicle access. Is that what?
So that's a road. What it is it's reserved for the Northern Access Bridge. So we're not doing anything in that area at the moment. However, that's why there's a difference in time between the licence for to occupy the road versus the lease for the building, which Rachel raised earlier. And what Janice pointed out is that there's a 12-month lever in there where we give them 12 months notice where they have to terminate the licence in that area.
No, I mean, they use it now for rear access to the site to get pick up and drop off, and that's the point of it.
No, they've got these buildings and shelters. The kindergarten are using it on at the moment. However, it was never a formalised licence to occupy that area. Correct.
Okay.
So in terms of pick up and drop off, they don't drive up and down.
No.
Duncan,
That's a question.
I know, but your mic's off.
So to clarify, that they don't pick up and drop off on that sort of roughshod answer.
No.
Right. But we're giving them, just to clarify again, we're giving them a lease for just that yellow highlighted section on page 66, not the whole area outlined in blue.
That one's the licence to occupy. So there's
Yellow.
a lease where the buildings are
Yes.
and a licence to occupy where the bikes are. They are different, and the reason for that is because they need to allow for the second crossing.
Then I'm talking about the area on page 66,
Yes.
outlined in blue. So it's that whole
Oh, the
road section.
not just the yellow bit.
Yeah, no. So there's that area outlined in blue. We're not giving them. We're giving them a lease.
Through the chair, hopefully I can help. The area in blue on page
Yeah, I get that,
66
yes.
This is your
is an unformed road, and it has been for many years. What we're
So
seeking
does
here
outline in
is a
blue,
licence to occupy
we're
for the
not-
yellow section of
They're not leasing
the
that.
roadway.
No,
so it's a
just the
licence to
orange
occupy
section.
for
Yeah,
a
yeah, right,
particular part
okay.
of it.
This is fee simple land.
Yes.
Highlighted in blue. This
Why
is
isn't
road
it there?
So we're there.
No, 16 is the presenter. Yeah. Did that answer your question there, Duncan? Yeah? Okay. Are there
Chair-
any... Yes?
Chair, just for clarification,
Yes.
the area marked blue is not the road. It's not the road. It's a fee simple land owned by the council that was formed through the road stopping.
Yes, thank you. That does actually clarify it a little bit better. Are there any other questions at all of the team here? If not, thank you both, Ruben and Chris. I'll let you step back now and we'll move into discussion and debate. Are there any points that need to be raised, discussed at all? In that case, we've got the recommendation up on the screen there. There are two parts to it. The first part is that the Regulatory Committee agrees to surrender the existing lease to Taupō Community Childcare Trust and grant a new lease from 1 July 2026 for a term of 13 years with one right of renewal for 10 years at an annual rent of $417 plus GST, plus agreed outgoings with annual CPI rent reviews. The second part to the recommendation is that the Regulatory Committee grants a licence to occupy to the Taupō Community Childcare Trust in respect of that part of Waikato Street outlined yellow in the diagram of the lease and licence areas. 20 Waikato Street for a term of 7 years with one right of renewal for 6 years from 1 July 2026 for an annual fee of $1 plus GST. Plus agreed outgoings for the purpose of a bike track facility and any activities associated with the trust. Sandra, did you have something to discuss?
I did have a question, sorry. I just wanted to know what sort of ballpark figure we're talking about with agreed outgoings. And I'm wondering why we're having an annual CPI rent review. Why would it not be, say, every 3 years? Why would we do an annual one?
Typically with a lease you do either have annual CPI increases or you would stipulate a market rent review. This is probably the fairest way of keeping on top of inflation and inflationary costs.
So it's an annual CPI on the 417?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to go up fairly smartly if you heard the government today. And what are the agreed outgoings?
They're generally, I'll let the staff answer, but they do move, so it'll depend what's in the list of outgoings.
Since the buildings are owned by them and we are only leasing them the land, then it will be the rates. But they are currently paying the rates, so it will continue.
Rates. Okay, just be the
So
rates.
just whatever's servicing the land.
Yes,
So just if that wasn't clear through the chair,
Yeah.
it's a ground lease,
Yep.
so they only pay rates on the land. The outgoings for the building itself is covered by the charitable trust.
Thank you. Very clear. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions at all? No? Do we have a mover and a seconder for those recommendations? Thank you, Sandra Greenslade and Yvonne Westerman seconding. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much, Janice and Chris. We can now move on to item 5.5, new lease for TMGH Jolly Limited Partnership at Pier 87, 14 Rohoto Street, Taupō. And we've still got the two of you, so didn't have to go far. Hand over to you guys, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. This report will be in regards to the new lease for TMGH Jolly Limited Partnership at P87 14 Rohoto Street. The lessee currently holds a land and building lease for the council-owned and administered land at 14 Rohoto Street. The lease expires on 31st July 2026, and they are seeking to continue its operation under long-term lease. So the recommendation is to grant a new commercial premises lease for a term of 10 years with 2 rights of 10 years each. And so the total term of the lease will be 30 years. And it will be at an annual rental of $106,500 with agreed outgoings, and will have annual CPI rent reviews and 5-yearly market rent review. The site contains office buildings and 2 boat building workshops which are owned by the council. And the lease also allows for public use, which is basically workshop B and the portion of the yard area, which is 335 square meters, which is designated for public use. And we also sought valuation advice from our registered valuer, which indicated that the market rental would be $137,000, which will include both land and building rental. And since we have workshop B and part of yard area largely used by the public, so there have been rental discount for these areas, and this rent has been negotiated with the lessee, which comes to $106,500. The outgoings, when we go to outgoings under the current lease, the landlord, which is the council, is responsible for the major maintenance and renewals of the building and the sidewalks infrastructure, since we own the buildings. And the lease does provide for the tenant to pay the rates, but currently council is paying for that. But under the new lease, we will ensure that the the tenant is responsible for paying all the outgoings, which will include rates and also some of the cost that is under the buildings. So, as I mentioned earlier, that our recommendation is that we grant a lease for new commercial lease to TMGH Jolly Partnership for a term of 10 years with 2 rights of renewal of 10 years at an annual rental of $106,500 with the outgoings. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We'll probably have some questions of clarification. Anything from members? Yvonne?
Yeah, I'm just struggling with the lease allows for public access to the landlord's building, workshop B. I mean, I've been down there and I kind of know the building. I didn't get that. What's that all about?
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty interested to understand how the public access works there too. I've been down and had a look. It's all gated off.
So during the day, the gates are open and they allow the public to use workshop B for boat building. It is in the lease that it allows it. And also there is a 375 square meters of the yard area which is used for the wash area, where the public uses that area to wash the boats.
Yeah. I went up there and I note that it's by appointment only. You have to go through Chris Jolly Boats, don't you, or Chris the partnership. I saw a sign up there that said if you wanted access, you needed to make an appointment.
Yes.
So I'm questioning the public access and the fact that we're giving a fairly hefty discount for that access, but it does seem to have quite a few limitations on it. I've just got some concerns there.
And also, there is a note that I just read now that I can't find that says, oh, here it is. The tenant has asked for a new security gate, which will need to be invested and included as a capital project into the LTP. So we're also going to be funding them a gate to close off this area that's supposed to be used for public access? Is that what I'm understanding, or am I misunderstanding?
Through the chair, they have requested a motorised gate which will have a keypad on it, so that if the community needs access, it can be done remotely rather than someone have to manually go down there and open up the gates. So
that's not public access, though, is it? If you have to obtain a lock or a key, whether it's electronic or not, that's not public access.
So just to go back a step, we've actually inherited the space. The whole space hasn't been set up correctly. So for us to demarcate the area, we'd actually have to have new fencing installed. So for us, it's actually easier if we go down this route and we have that community that area. It's a washdown area, which is fully open. If signage is the issue, we can just change some signage down there. From an operational perspective, you should be gaining access through the main tenant, because they've got boat movements happening, they've got heavy machinery down there, so what if they've got a crane down there on that day? Yes, you have public access, however, you still need to speak with the main tenant to get down there, right?
Can you, just clarify for me as well, when you say it's better for us, who is us?
Sorry?
You were just saying before, it's better for us to leave it this way. Do you mean us as a council?
Oh, as council, yes.
So it's not better, but is it better for the people or not? Are you trying...
For the community?
Yeah.
Oh, if we were to benefit the community, we could re-fence the whole area and change the orientation.
It's fully fenced. It's all fully fenced down there, isn't it? I went down and had a look. It's fully fenced.
So what you do is you move the gate back and then fence off the area, which is the washdown area. Yeah.
And explain to me again why we're paying for the upgraded security gate.
Well, we haven't agreed to it. They've just
they've requested it.
It's
that's
a
all
request.
That's happened. But I'd just like to add, we've actually increased. We've gone from 40,000 up to 106. We now have 77,000 surplus per annum to cover these nicer to haves in that area. The other thing is that this tenant will now be covering all outgoings. So for us, this is a good deal.
I think sorry,
no,
I'll
you go.
carry on. I think what the member's getting at, and I tend to agree actually, is that 40-odd thousand was significantly under market. We've got up to market and we're pulling back on that slightly to allow for public access. I'm not convinced that the public access amount is very fair potentially, and I am questioning that, but I do recognise that was a historical arrangement. But given we're entering into a fairly long-term lease, is that something we want to rectify now?
We can, but that will take some significant work by council to make that area demarcated.
Well,
is that
I'd like
something
to.
That we want to?
We'll put that to the members when we get to discussion time, I think. But Duncan, Sandra, do you have a question of clarification?
Yes, I'd like to know why would the public want access here?
It's a washdown area for boats.
So it's a public area to wash your boat down. So you have to go in off the street, I presume, do you? Drive in there with your boat?
No, so you go in down on the marina, parallel to the lake or the river.
So
That's
coming
the
from the
entry point.
marina?
Yeah.
So is there a pull-out area?
There's also a boat ramp down there as well. You drive into the reserve where the boat ramp is, and then you turn right. There's also a harbour master's office in the front and the 2 workshops. So you drive into reserve and where the boat ramp is, and then off to the right is the gate to enter the, I want to say compound, but it's not.
Okay, so we go back to this public access question, don't we? That if somebody wants to use that and it's Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock, what do they do?
They have to call the number on the sign. Oh, look, there's the map up there now.
So show me whereabouts you're talking about.
So see the hashed out area that I've on the map on the screen?
Yeah.
That's the area that is a washdown area for community use. The gate is just to the right of it. If you look at the screen there, that's where the gate is. So what I am suggesting in response to your question around the sort of area for community use is that I'm going to stand up and point to the screen if it's easier.
Yeah, go on.
I might go up the front. So currently there's a metal gate at this point. What we're suggesting is that potentially turns into a mechanical gate
Yep.
with a code, so that there's full-time access in there. Otherwise, what we do is we move that gate back here,
Yep.
and then that's your
Public area.
washdown pad and full boat.
Okay.
So people that have finished using their boat, there's no washdown area out here.
Yep.
They can come in, they can have access to water,
Yep.
wash their boat down, and then leave.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chris, because that's, I was just going to ask if someone could give those people who don't understand that area very well.
Yeah.
It is used quite a bit by locals who must probably understand that it's there. Maybe if you're a tourist, you may not sort of know so much, but yeah, opening up that area could be beneficial. I can't remember seeing any signage down there noting that it's a public wash bay.
No, you are right. There is no signage to say it's a public wash bay, but that's something that could be added easily enough.
I think it's going to be necessary. If we're going to look at giving a fairly significant discount for public access, it does not look like somewhere that allows for public access. It gives the impression of exclusive use very, very clearly, in my opinion. So there would need to be some more signs, and I would like to look at potentially moving the fence so that they do have ready access, especially if we're going to be potentially paying for the gate. I would suggest that the tenant needs it more than we do, and perhaps they should be paying it myself. But
Yes,
anyway,
through the chair, Rachel, that's exactly what I was thinking. The second option that you suggested, Chris, is definitely the one that's going to benefit the public more, and you know, a significant discount for public use. Public need to be able to use it.
I also have a question around the sublet arrangement, because typically if the tenant wants to sublet, it needs landlord's approval. So have we seen and given approval for that sublet? And is that going to continue under this new lease, or is that going to be reviewed?
The chair, the one existing sublease that they have, it was endorsed by council in 2011, and once it's our understanding with them that once the new lease is granted to them, then they will apply for a new sublease, because their sublease is expiring with the lease.
Right. Okay. No, that's good to know. Any questions, Duncan?
Well, while we're here, just educate me a little bit on this wash down. Area. Is it sort of? I mean, it's not the ocean, so they're not washing off salt or anything.
Clams, Duncan, clams.
Okay. Well, whatever they're washing off, there's some sort of. It doesn't just wash straight into the lake. So I don't know where does it go?
Where does the water go?
Does it just go into the waste water system?
Into
All
the
right, okay.
drains.
I can do some further research if you'd like and come back to you. But
They're not water blasting off. I don't know. Old lead-based paint off old boats and all that sort of stuff. I mean,
through the chair, it's boats that have been sitting in the water for more. They might have been in there for 6 months. They pick the green stuff, the algae off the bottom of their boat, and they might want to take it off and give it a clean. So,
is there anything? Is there anything? Anyone stopping someone bringing some old yacht with old paint and just blasting it all off, and it all goes into the?
Not that we're aware of. No.
Yeah.
The gate.
Through the chair.
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you. Just a couple of things here. So I'm very concerned about the public access in there as well. Definitely need some signage. And given the discussion that we've had here today, I do feel that this is probably of significance to ask the public, unless the other councillors think no. But is this not something that we should be asking the public, since they use this consistently?
No, honestly, I don't. We're voted in to make these decisions at this committee, because if we go out and consult, that's a huge amount of cost on top of everything as well. So I think we actually just have to make an executive decision at this table, which is what we're elected to do.
Okay, I understand that. And then just secondly, Māori engagement. So isn't this owned by Tūwhare?
Yes, it is.
Was there any iwi and hapu engagement for this piece?
So to be clear, this is owned by Taupō District Council.
Yes.
the lease is with Te Wharetoa, which is
So,
owned-
so the land and buildings are owned by Taupō District Council.
And the lease is with Te Wharetoa, did you say?
it's with Chris Jolly.
Jolly Boats
Okay.
Partnership. Yeah. So, did you have a question there, or no? Okay.
Yeah.
Sandra.
Yes, on page 69, the council currently receives an annual rental of 43,000 odd, incurs 29,000 in maintenance. In addition, the council covers the 26-27 rates for the area leased by Chris Jolly, amounting to 9,000. Rates for the sublease portion of the property are responsibility of the Dale Boats. So what you're saying is there's two lots of rates there, are there?
Yes, the area that has been subleased by Dale Boats, so council is charging the rates for that and they are paying it.
So we rate them separately?
Yes.
We rate them separately, okay. And so this is the concern, isn't it, is why is the council paying the rates for the 26-27 year if we're about to grant them a new lease?
I think under the new lease that would be the tenant's responsibility to pay the OPEX. That's kind of the point as well, is getting this lease in place to ensure that we're getting current market rental and OPEX paid.
But we've only just struck our rates.
Well,
I can't see why they shouldn't be paying the rates from now. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's still...
Through the chair,
yeah.
the sooner we wrap this up, the sooner we're not paying rates.
This lease expires on the 31st of July, so it's a good opportunity to tidy it all up. And I'm just thinking about a way forward here, because we do have some concerns about public access, but we also do have a solution to the problem, which is to move the gate. So my suggestion, I guess, subject to what you all think, is that we do move the recommendation, approve the recommendation, with the note that we want to look at how we can make that public access a bit more public, which is moving that gate. And in the meantime, just some signs that actually identify that there is public access. So how does everybody feel about that as a way forward?
I'm confident in that. I just, really want to be confident in the fact that people can access that code when they need it.
Well, the gates, discussion will be that'll be an LTP discussion at this point. And that's why we're sort of a bit stuck. So in order to move this forward, we've got a lease expiring on the 31st. We've got market rental that we're able to collect. I think, we're probably best to move this now while we can, with the proviso that we investigate further how public access can be better enabled.
So I guess what we're saying here is, ahead of LTP, we're going to be making funding available to actually pay for some of these things.
The next question through the chair was, and she'll have to read it again so she remembers what it was. Oh, I know. Council remains responsible for major maintenance. Has council done any sort of a assessment on that building to know what council might be up for in the next 10 years?
Through the chair, which building in particular?
Well, the building that we own, that they're leasing from us.
There's a few.
Well, council remains responsible for the major maintenance renewals. The tenants will pay all rates. So as the commercial owner of that building, we are responsible for major work on that building. Have you done any assessments to see in the next 10 years what we'll be up for?
That's often that's us through the LTP. We approve the repairs and maintenance budget for buildings as well.
But I'm asking you if you've done any assessment to know what we're going to be looking at.
Yes. Yeah, so condition assessments are completed on those buildings.
And, well, we probably should have those to look at, shouldn't we? How much money are we talking about? I mean, what sort of stuff are we talking about? We don't need a new roof or anything like that, which could cost us 150,000 easily on a roof that size.
I think we can probably come back to that, and that'll be part of the long-term plan process as well. I don't think we're going to. It doesn't form part of the decision to grant the lease or otherwise. Either way, we own the building, and we're going to have to allocate some funding to it. In the meantime, we have to deal with the lease. Now, as a suggestion, what we could do, we've just added some wording there to the recommendation.
I need to give it to you right
It's coming. Shall I read it out from what you've got there? What we can do is just add that we direct staff to investigate a solution that better enables and delineates public access and considers options during the long-term planning process. That way we can move forward with the lease and we can address the public access at a later date.
Through the chair, that was my drafting, and doing it on the fly, which I never like doing. But I understand that there's some concerns around public access and enabling public access there and delineating it. I have concerns around budget because we don't, I believe, any budget to be able to implement any solution at this stage. What we can do as officers is go away, investigate some options, listening to your concerns, come up with some options for solutions, and then through the long-term planning process, consider an appropriate budget should that be required from yourselves as a potential solution. What it doesn't necessarily address, though, is the lease that we have here and now, though. So.
Councillor Greenslade.
Through the chair, I have to say I'm very concerned that these costs are falling on council for a hugely size of this commercial enterprise. I think there should be some discussion over meeting us at least halfway on this. I don't think all those costs should fall on council.
I don't disagree, actually. I don't disagree. I think there are times where tenants and landlords do have to agree to meet costs, and I think this is potentially one of those situations. But as long as we've got that direction in there in this recommendation, are you happy to proceed with the lease?
The word I was looking for was hugely successful. Hugely successful organisation.
And through the chair, yeah. I think the resolution reflects that. So it directs staff to investigate a solution. It doesn't actually state that we'll pay for the fencing.
Yeah.
Because through the chair, as I read it, if we delineate public access out of the lease, then there's no discount applied. So then, essentially, you'll be going to your market rate, which could pay for the improvements.
It would be market rate minus that particular space, so it'd be slightly less, but be interesting.
So maybe the discount applies up to the point that we implement a solution. Maybe.
Yeah. Duncan, do you have a question?
Well, I'm not sure if I can add to that aspect of the conversation, but it's from what I can tell, provided we give public access and signage it, and we're asking for an improvement, a significant improvement of the market rental, which seems a good enough outcome to me, but I see the concern that Sandra seems to be having over we could be setting ourselves up for building.
We are already in that space. We already own the buildings and we already have to maintain them. It's neither here nor there to whether or not we grant the lease.
So the market rental is sort of based on those buildings.
The commercial market.
Yes.
The commercial market.
And what you're saying, I'm sort of learning about this sort of stuff as I'm asking these questions. So what I'm gathering is, say it's discovered next year that those buildings need a new roof and all the other improvements, then that is a case for there would be an obligation on the
yes,
the person.
but we have ongoing maintenance on our buildings as well, so we shouldn't be caught out next year needing a new roof. We do asset assessments.
Yeah. I'm just saying, worst case, say we discover next week.
But as I'm pointing out, it's really neither here. Wouldn't we be better to be collecting the rent in that case so that we've got funding for that?
Sorry, say that again?
Wouldn't we be better to be collecting market rent so that if we did need to replace the roof, we've got income coming in?
No, yeah, that makes sense.
So what I'm trying to do is move the agenda item forward, and that's my solution there, is by adding that further direction that a solution is found to better enable public access and to better delineate that. On that basis, are you happy to proceed?
Well, I'm happy with that aspect of it, definitely, but I'm just thinking, your worst case, new roof, 150 grand, are you saying that won't fall 100%?
No, it would fall on the landlord as the building owner.
Through the chair.
Oh, yeah.
So in the paper, we've pointed out that approximately 29,000 per annum in maintenance is applied to the property.
There you go.
We now have a surplus of 77,000 per annum with this new lease.
Yep, thanks for that.
The rent is based
Hang on.
on a market valuation of the rental of that property. We don't put the roof replacement on the tenant that sits with council.
That's something that the landlord just has to factor into their
Correct.
negotiations for rental and OPEX.
Totally get that through the chair. Exactly what Chris has just said, making sure that we've got money in the pot to do those things out of the market rent. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And have you got a question?
Yeah. So can we just confirm? I'm sorry if we just missed this. So are we giving them the discount of 30,500 because they've largely used it by the public, except it's not really
Yes, I'm
accessible,
suggesting-
so we're still applying that discount?
Yes, at this stage, and there's a reason for that, and that is if we do end up moving the gate and making it even more accessible, then that will definitely apply. So are we happy to do that? We grant the lease on the terms there. We note the public access aspect, but we direct staff to investigate solutions that better enable and delineate that access. That makes the discount a little more palatable, I feel.
I guess it depends on the cost of this new gate that we put in.
Correct,
you know.
and that's why we're asking staff to investigate. We're not approving anything. We're not saying we're paying for anything, but we need to look at it.
And lastly, would it be more beneficial to do a 5-year term instead of a 10-year term? Because before it was 5 years and now we've gone up to 10 years, so that might mitigate what Sandra and Duncan were saying.
In commercial leasing, the longer the lease, the better. And it's better for us as landlords as well, actually.
And by the way, I fully support the Chris Jolly boats. Just on the side. Love their trips. My children absolutely love going on the rock carving boat ride, and the boat ride's always awesome. The staff are always amazing, but we're just doing our jobs.
Just run through the thing through the chair. So I'm just picking up on what Warwick said. If we delineate that area and make it fully public, then it's out of their lease, and then their lease will go to a fully market lease.
We wouldn't need to amend the lease in that case. This
That's not
covers
what you
that because we've reduced the market rental to allow for the public access.
Through the chair, yeah, this is the trouble I get myself in when I try to do things on the fly. As you were talking, I was thinking we're actually reducing the size of their leased area, and also it might have impacts on their movements in that space as well. So a conversation needs to happen, and that's why we need to actually go away, investigate some potential solutions, and then consider if there's any funding available or any funding considerations through our long-term plan process.
Totally get that, Warwick.
And once you've drafted a lease, you can vary the lease as well if you need to between the parties. So it's not set in concrete. On that basis, with the recommendation as amended, is there a mover and a seconder? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Westman, seconded by Councillor Campbell. All those in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Moving on to item 5.6. Oh, well, thank you, Janice. It didn't come across you were nervous at all. You did a fantastic job. Okay, moving on to item 5.6, grant new lease, Coast Guard, 14 Rohoto Street. Rhino, we'll hand over to you.
Kia ora. Through the chair, my name is Rhino Ninaba. I am the facilities manager for the Taupō District Council. I'm here to present the paper for the granting of a new community lease for the Coast Guard, 14 Rohoto Street. The purpose is to consider the granting of a new concessional ground lease to the Lake Taupō Volunteer Coast Guard over part of 14 Rohoto Street for a term of 5 years. Plus 2-year rights of renewal at an annual rent of $549.77. Also subject to CPI review annually and agreed outgoings. I deem it as read, the paper. Are there any questions?
Thank you for that, Rhino. Yes, it looks like we do have a question. Sandra.
Oh, thanks, Rhino. I just wonder, having had all the conversations we've just had about previous leases, why this lease is 5 years and not 10 years?
Exactly what I was going to ask.
The lease previously was 5 years, and we've just continued with that option to again renew it for 5 years plus 2 more options.
Well, so the suggestion is in that case that, seeing all our others at 10 years, I honestly can't see why we wouldn't do it for 10 years unless they had an objection. It's less work for us and more security for them.
Two ways of looking at that. You're looking from the tenant's perspective, but also as a landlord, when you've got a charitable organisation essentially who's paying the charitable lease, what if in 5 years' time we'd like to lease that commercially?
Chair, this is Coast Guard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're talking Coast Guard here.
Yeah.
I think they've been in place for,
At a community rate though, I'm talking.
It's
right?
Coast Guard.
Through the chair, it's a ground lease. So yes, it's they own the buildings.
That's different, they own the buildings. Well, that's a valid question. Did the Coast Guard want it any longer, or is this what they've requested?
This was through discussions with them.
Okay, so it's what they've requested.
So I just wonder, thank you, Chair. Kia ora, Rhino. Yeah, well, you stated that because this lease was 5 years last time, doing the same again, but with the item that we just did, their lease was 5 years and then we upped it to 10. So, and considering these guys are on the same plot, would we not just have them all at 10 years?
I'm still going back to the difference between a commercial lease and a community lease as well.
Yeah.
So it was discussed the length of the term though, and
were they given the actual option of 10?
Yeah.
We discussed the term of 5 years plus 2 options to renew for 5. 10 was not discussed.
I just wonder if it's worth...
But in saying that, it's actually giving the flexibility to the tenant here because it's a right of renewal and it's the tenant's right. So that's effectively a 15-year lease.
I guess I'm just trying to understand because the last lease, even though it was commercial, is a 30-year on the same area, and this is the Coast Guard.
It might have been their request as well to only want the short term. So I have to take the staff's advice that they've discussed the term and that this is as the tenant wanted. And I do note that we've got it's a 15-year lease, but they have the right every 5 years to say yes, we intend to stay on, or no, we're going to vacate. It actually works in favour of the Coast Guard in a way.
No, I'm happy to work.
Through the chair, council officers are not far off producing a concessional lease policy for you to better understand how leases work, so that should be helpful in future.
Okay, any other questions about this?
I want to comment on what Reno said. He said that tenure wasn't discussed with them. So we don't know whether they'd rather have a 10-year lease or not.
Through the chair, tenure was discussed with them. Yeah. Sorry, Heather's away today, so we are...
So we've got 2 boys covering for 1 girl. Okay, that's fine.
Hey.
But just again, I'm just going to bring you back to those rights of renewal, which means it's effectively a 15-year lease. So that being the case, any questions? No? All right. I will thank you, Chris and Rhino. Anything for further discussion or debate? I've got a mover with Councillor Woodward. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Greenslade. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Okay, we'll move on to item 5.7, endorsement of engagement district-wide reserves management plan. Kara and Billy in support. All right, well, thank you both for your time, and we'll hand over.
Kia ora koutou, ko Kara Scott tōku ingoa, he kai tohu kaupapa here, aho, policy advisor, and Billy. So we are at the stage now where we'd like to go out for public engagement on our district-wide reserves management plan. We have had an initial look through all of the management plans. We've found that most of them are still relevant, but a fair bit of information that's out of date. There's opportunities to streamline what is consistent amongst the management plans, but also some of those outdated actions. Some talk about relocation that's never happened of certain activities, or restrictions that perhaps no longer reflect our current community needs. So we're really keen now to start reaching out. We've already sort of talked about this in the public before, and already members of the public and clubs and community groups are keen to start talking. So we just want to endorse that engagement plan with you first. We'll obviously pull it all together so you can see a timeline, but at this stage we want to make sure that you're all involved as much as possible in that engagement. Engagement under the Reserves Act happens in 2 stages. The first is informal engagement, where we go out for 2 months and ask for any feedback on those reserves. There might be particular points that we want some feedback on. The Reserves Act just requires us to put a public notice in the paper. We want to do a little bit more than that. We want to get together as many email addresses for our user groups as we can to directly reach out and let them know, and we also want to make sure we're attending all of our Councillor Connect forums and representative groups to make sure that we can cover the area, the whole area of our district as well. I guess the key message is that we want to remind everyone that these plans are out of date, and we want to sort of pull them all together and get them back up to date again. So really the purpose of the paper is to endorse our engagement plan, and I'm happy to take any questions on that.
That's great, thanks for that. I know that I've already seen you behind the scenes, but I'm just going to add here that I did receive an email from a member of the public just wanting to add Acacia Bay Ratepayers Association as a stakeholder, and just a note that their family picnic might be a good opportunity for a pop-up as well. And I know that there are some people wanting to give some feedback about about Acacia Bay and some of those connecting reserves. So if I can just note that there.
Acacia Bay Residents.
Acacia Bay Residents Association. Yes.
Not ratepayer.
Correct. Yeah. Fair enough too. I didn't have my email in front of me. Any questions at all for Kara? Yeah. Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chair. Kia ora kara. So the engagement for the reserves plan, for one, I'd just like to put out my little comment that I am actually a little bit against us doing our reserves plan changes at the moment. I think we've got a lot of other work on. However, given we are going through this, so I've just got a couple of extra ones to add for, what page is this? For the groups that you're going to get in touch with. So page 90 for the Mangakino and Whakamaru Reserves Management Plan. You've got a list there of people stakeholders who you'll get in touch with. Can I list you a couple more that I think would be really beneficial to have on there, especially considering you've got like the Mangakino Community Notice Board Facebook group, but you haven't got the Whakamaru community or the Maratiri Tihoi community Facebook group on there. So if both of those are on there, the Waikato River Trails, the Whakamaru Motocross Club, which sits on the Whakamaru domain, so definitely them, the Whakamaru community page, Whakamaru School, Marae Tai Water Sports page on Facebook.
I wonder though, do we normally go to lots of individual Facebook pages? I mean, I'm just wondering if that might be for us to do as well.
But it's put on here as the Mangakino Community Notice Board Facebook group. So if we're going to have one on there, I think we need to have as many as possible.
Notice board pages perhaps, but every school as well? Or?
Well, you've got Mangakino School on here, so why not Whakamaru School?
Okay,
They're
good
in two
question.
different zones. They're by two different domains that are affected by the reserve change. Also, the Tauranga Community Committee as well.
So you're wanting comms to go onto those pages? Because I'm looking at this and I guess you're talking about physical appearances. Is that what?
Well, you've
like
got
physical pop-ups? Because I know we're not going to get to absolutely every group.
No,
That's-
you're
yeah.
definitely not. But so you've got reserve management plan interest groups, and under Mangekino Whakamaru, you've got a list there who I think you are missing a significant amount of people or groups who are sitting directly on reserves or next to them. So I think
Okay.
it's certainly valid.
If
Cons-
there are a few there, would you mind emailing it through
No,
so that
yeah,
we've got
I
a
can
complete
definitely do that.
list?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, perhaps start there. That's what I've done with the Acacia Bay one.
Okay,
I've
so
forwarded
I'll
the email. on.
those ones through.
Yeah.
And then my next question, or should I let Sandra go?
If you've got a question, go for it.
Well,
You've got the mic.
I actually wanted to follow up from what
I'll go next.
Hope was saying. None of my ratepayer groups are mentioned here at all. And you're talking about Facebook groups, which have got thousands and thousands of people, half of which don't even live in the district.
Well, I'd probably suggest the same. Have you?
No. Well, they've got them all. They've got all the addresses, and because they've done all of this before. So we've
Well,
got.
it would just be helpful, I guess, if you've got some that you think they should specifically go to. I'm suggesting that if you've got any of us have got any extras that we feel should be approached, we should send it through. Yeah, I think so.
Amori, Kuratau, Pukawa, Whareroa and Motuopa. And I just wanted to sort of question them over the Motuopa one. We've got Motuopa Bay Holiday Park Recreation Reserve. I didn't know that was a reserve. And Motuopa Fishing and Boating Club. What does that mean?
Doug Montgomery.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a dozen people.
Through the chair, so those two groups lease two separate reserves in Motuopa.
I'm sorry, they what?
They lease the reserves from council, hence why
they lease reserves.
Yes.
Okay, right. So they're leaseholders.
Yes, correct.
So you've got a commercial relationship with them.
Not a commercial relationship. They're all community leases.
The Motuopa holiday parkers.
Oh, sorry. Aside from them, sorry,
Oh,
no.
okay,
The Brosnahans have a commercial lease with us.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Okay, yeah. So I'm just backing up what Councillor Woodward is saying, that I don't think that those engagement things are appropriate, to be honest. I'm sorry.
We'll send an email through.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. Just send through your suggestions, I think,
That would
at
be
this
great.
point. Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. And just
Okay.
to also, Chair, I guess the emails that we're sending out are well and truly above and beyond the public notice. So that's why we want to just make sure we're getting the message out. The Councillor Connect forums and the representative groups cover the whole district as well. So that would be our key focus. As well as engagement sessions through the actual reserves as well.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor Woodward, you've got a question?
Thank you, Chair. So I have quite a significant amount of concern of the dates that we are looking at. So we're looking at doing our formal consultation over December and January.
Just through the chair, though, that is tentative at this stage. It depends on our initial engagement, which is the first two, the months of August and September. So depending on what we get back from that information, we've always found in the past that doing your formal engagement over a combination of school term and holidays is really good, because you get equal representation of visitors and your locals. But obviously it's going to depend on how much feedback we get back, how much workshopping we might have to do with this committee. So we've just tentatively put that December, January date in at this stage.
Thank you for that explanation. And while I appreciate the explanation that you have given, I very strongly am against having it over December and January. It's a holiday period. A lot of people are away. We may have people come into the district who aren't always here, but considering we are changing something absolutely significant, this needs to be done at a time where people are actually available mentally and physically. And as we saw when we did the representative group survey over December and January, there was a huge amount of feedback about the timing.
How about we make sure we note that in the minutes that you're opposed to that timing for now, and that then it's noted efficiently.
Is anybody else opposed to the timing, so we can note this as well?
I'll direct whether we're asking any questions. Do you have a question at all, Sandra?
Yes, I've got notes and I'd really like to just go through them because otherwise I'll miss them out. So on page 92, you've got down there 2 Saturdays at the Turangi. I'm quite opposed to you doing that. This doesn't affect Turangi. Turangi have got their own reserve management plan, and I think you confuse the community when you do that. You need to be in the areas where the reserves that you're actually talking about. So that I don't agree with you doing consulting there. And when I go down Omori Kuratau on page 93, they do not have pop-up markets on Saturdays. They have markets, I think it's at Easter and Labour weekend, and there might be one in the summertime, but I don't know. Their colour run, I think, is in January, not December. What are the other notes I've got in here? I've just gone through and just made notes alongside, which I hope are actually helpful to you. You're going across all of the hapus in the district. Are you going to do that like you've listed down all the hapus in the district, which is great, but that's a huge job down there. How are you going to manage that? Yeah.
I'll start with the hapu question.
Yeah.
So we're emailing out to the marae contacts to let them know that a reserve management plan within their rohe is up for review.
Okay.
What we really need is written feedback from people. So we'll be letting people know about the process and how to make a written feedback if they choose to do so.
Okay, right. But even so, like a lot of these hapus don't have any reserves in their area.
But it's district-wide too, Sandra, isn't it?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair enough. And where's my other note? I'm sorry for being a pain here. Yes, and I would like to just support Councillor Woodward over the fact that you're going to be doing it over the summer period. Yes, all of my ratepayers are probably all around at that time of the year, and it's only fair, obviously, that they have some contribution to it. They certainly pay rates in the area and they are part of that whole process, but a lot of the local people are actually away. So it might be good to sort of have it at 2 different times to capture the local voices. I think perhaps outside that December, January period would be a good idea, yeah.
Well, we'll certainly be able to look at that a bit more closely once we get the engagements and the feedback. And I'm just going to come back to the original point that actually all we need to do at this point legally is put out a public notice in the paper. So I'm really glad that the team are going to this extra effort, actually. So we do need to remember that. And then the formal consultation and hearings, deliberations will come later, because we're doing this under the Reserves Act, right? And this is a district-wide omnibus. So even though Turangi-Tukua have reserves of their own, it doesn't preclude them from having a say on Spa Park because they're still part of the district. So we all have a say on all reserves in the district. That's the point of getting out to the entire area. And I'm just noting the extra effort that we're going to at this informal stage, which I think is a good thing too. Thank you. Are there any other questions at all for staff?
Not a question, just a comment. So
okay, all right. Well, I think we're going to enter, unless you've got something to add. Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify also, just on your point, Councillor Greenslade, around the markets in Turangi. So we worked through the engagement plan with Marama, our southern engagement partner. There's a lot of reserves around the southern area that are outside of Turangi, but Turangi services those communities, and that's why we thought it would be worthwhile. We know a lot of people from Motuapa and from Amori Pukawa come to those markets. We found that out at the Turangi Reserve Management Plan, so that was why we felt it would be relevant to go there. So, yeah.
I can understand your thinking. I still think it's going to be confusing for local people, and I think you're going to struggle. I'm just saying that's all, because they think they're going to have a say on Te Kapua Park and Taupahi Road and all of those parks, and I think you're going to have to be very, very clear, your engagement team, that is not what you're talking about. In fact, it might be a good idea for you to actually have the Turangi Reserves Plan there so that people are clear on what areas you are actually talking about, yeah.
Okay.
Just-
We're just running a bit short on time, so I'll be cutting things a bit short soon. Ask your question though,
Well, just to
Duncan.
clarify, this January-December consultation period, yes, I hear the concern about that might be the best time. You're saying we can sort of move past that, but when would that get further discussed?
Well, as Kara has pointed out, we just want to get through the initial informal investigation, consultation first, and from there, I guess we can look at how we formulate some more formal consultation after that. How that looks will come back to us. Sorry, just before you jump in there, Sandra, I'll just let Yvonne.
Just a question from an email from Julie the other day, something about public notices and that some change to legislation. So the councils are saying they don't have to legislate, and was it you, I hope that, or Duncan was it, mentioned that, just because the legislation says we don't have to public advertise, we are still going to publicly advertise in the Times or whatever?
I think that was different legislation. We're under the Reserves Act here, and that was a separate act, yeah. Sorry, Sandra?
One further thing that I've come across consistently, which I have struggled with, is the number of dock reserves we've got. So again, when you're consulting with people in the district, yes, make it very clear, because you will find that they will be talking about specific reserves, which are dock reserves, yes, and not until, because I write the emails and then I get told, no, that's nothing to do with us, that's a dock reserve. So there's a few fish hooks in this consultation, and if people are to be clear on what they're actually consulting on, they need to be clear on what they're not consulting on too.
Yeah, definitely noted, yeah. Any other questions at all or comments?
Comment. Yes,
Okay.
I do appreciate that we are going the extra mile in our engagement that we have set out in front of us, and I'm definitely appreciative of that. It looks like a really good engagement plan. We've already come up with a solid looking plan, and I'm appreciative of that. Just really want to note the dates, not happy about those, and really want to ensure we get to as much of my rohi as possible, because we are so wide and we kind of tunnel vision on Mangakino a little bit because it is the centre of our district, and we've got the Polokani markets listed on there as one of our spaces. We have only just started those markets though. I think we've only had one or two so far, so to make sure we're getting across to everybody, I just hope that when we do continue moving forward in this, that the direction given by us is taken on board.
And I'll just remind us as well that we're just as much part of the solution. We've got networks that we can share all this information to as well. So thank you very much, ladies. I think we're probably at the stage where we can have a look at the recommendation that the Regulatory Committee receives the update and endorses the attached district-wide reserves management plan review engagement. I'm just thinking we might need to add to that, just given that we've made some suggestions.
Yes.
So could we just add some way of recording that we've got a couple of extra dates that we'd like to look at?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. That was what I was a little bit.
Any ideas from the team on some wording? It's been a long day.
Through you,
Yeah,
Chair.
sure.
The attached document does say that those second engagement dates are subject to the outcome of the first round of engagement, and that's why, because we weren't sure of the timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It still doesn't quite give me confidence, I'm sorry, subject to what we see coming from the first round.
With additional dates and stakeholders as suggested by members, perhaps. Would that sort of satisfy
'cause
everybody?
I wasn't happy to endorse the plan that you did have, although it's great. I wasn't happy to endorse that whole plan.
There was quite a few stakeholders mentioned, so it comes down to capacity as well.
Yes.
Their ability to actually
Yep.
achieve all of that.
But if we're just sending out if we're sending one email, we can send them all to those stakeholders.
With additional dates and potential stakeholders to be investigated further. How about that?
To be considered.
To be considered. That's actually a good word, to be considered. Yeah. Okay, so we've got an updated recommendation.
To be considered. I just
Sorry, members, can I have your attention over here for a second. I'm going to read out the amended recommendation and then put it to the vote if you're all happy. The Regulatory Committee receives the update and endorses the attached district-wide Reserves Management Plan Review Engagement Plan with additional dates and stakeholders to be considered.
It doesn't. I'm sorry to be a pain, but it still doesn't give me confidence.
This isn't the final engagement plan, is it?
No, this will be updated and we'll keep forwarding through the updated plan as we go along. Because some of the events we won't be able to attend, some of the event organisers might not want us there. But also bearing in mind you can forward the notification to anyone you want. It doesn't have to be just this list.
No. It's the dates that are specifically that worry me. So I'm uncomfortable saying that I endorse the attached engagement plan, even if with additional dates and stakeholders to be considered. Considered doesn't mean that they were doing it. So I do not endorse the attached current plan.
Well, then I think you might have to vote against it, because I don't think that we can nail anything down specifically yet, because we haven't set those dates yet.
What's the risk of me voting against it, and if others voted against it too and it was voted down, then we're not continuing forward?
It would have to go to probably council table, I presume.
Through the chair, what may happen if you vote that down is that the staff will go away and consider those dates and lock them in, and then come back with a report which will outline that. The team need to understand the impacts of adding on those additional dates and engaging with further stakeholders in their current workload. So that hasn't been taken into account, I don't believe. So it's hard for us to lock in something concrete today without actually understanding the impacts
through the chair, in that case it's not additional dates, it's dates. We don't want additional dates, we want other dates. So we're saying that those December, January dates are not acceptable to us. That's the point.
Why don't we say then with
alternative
dates and additional stakeholders to be considered? I don't think we can say yet to be confirmed, but it's the same as being considered, isn't it?
How about endorsed at the end, since we're endorsing the plan?
But we can't yet, because they still have to be able to go away and work through some of that. Kara.
Thank you, Chair. Would it help if we changed the date in the attached engagement plan, because it still says the timing of the stage will depend on the extent of feedback received in the previous stage and number of workshops required with the Regulatory Committee. So we could actually change it to January, February if you prefer, and then it will still depend on the extent of
that would make me a lot happier and confident that we will be able to get as much feedback as possible from everybody over that time.
I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. Okay, so we have a further amendment to the recommendation that the Regulatory Committee receives the update and endorses the attached district-wide Reserves Management Plan Review Engagement Plan with alternative dates and additional stakeholders to be considered, and formal consultation to take place in January and February 2027, amended in the attached engagement plan.
Thank you, happy.
Okay. Would you like to move?
I would love to move that.
Could I have a seconder, please, Sandra? Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. All those against? Carried. Okay. Well done, guys. Thanks.
Chair, can you excuse me?
Yes, sure. All right, we'll move on to item 5.8, new public road names, East Urban Lands. Hi, Lou. Thanks for being here. I'll hand over to you.
Kia ora koutou. My name's Louise Wood. I'm the Resource Consents Team Leader, and I processed this subdivision consent, which is the second stage of the Council Oroko Rise subdivision up at East Urban Lands behind Kokomea, just to give you the context. There's 3 new public roads within this second stage, and they need names. So 3 names have been put forward as per the agenda item, and they've been provided from the Hapu Ngāti Hinero and Ngāti Hineure of Waipahihi Marae. They've been run by our emergency services, fire, police and St John's ambulance, and there's no duplications within the district that would cause any concerns if there was an emergency there. The names are part of the Matariki star cluster, and so consistent with stage 1 names too, which are also in the plan attached to the agenda item. So it's over to you guys to let me know if you approve.
Okay, thanks so much, Lou. Are there any questions at all for Louise? Councillor Westerman.
Actually, it was just a note, and you've just covered it off, actually. When I was reading the paper, I thought, I wonder what they mean. So I Googled them, and I thought that could be quite helpful to pop it in the report. But anyway, it wasn't a big one. It was interesting to just to Google that. And I didn't realise that linked in with the previous stage that followed through from there. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of subdivisions, through the chair, lots of subdivisions try to maintain a theme where possible. It's not always possible, but yeah. And I did say in the agenda item somewhere that it is the Matariki star cluster.
Yep, I did see that.
Engagement. Yeah.
Councillor Woodward, have you got a question there?
Thank you, Chair. Pretty much, was the same. Was if we've got those names, have we got the rest of the stars in there as well? So in stage 1, you've got 1, 2. So you haven't got the whole cluster of the stars in there?
No, because there's not that many roads.
So there's not going to be another stage where there's any more names needed?
There might be in future, but this is the only subdivision consent we have so far. So there are extra parts of EUL still to be developed. Yeah,
right.
But we don't have any subdivision consents as yet.
I just hope that the names aren't left. That the full cluster is there. All 9 are there.
Yeah. In saying that, there are actually some road names down in Tokanu that have some of these Matariki names, although that's why we couldn't use one actually. Originally they proposed a different one, and I said, I think there's a duplication here with Tokanu.
Yes,
so
maybe they should have changed.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't change that now anyway. Happy.
No. Any other questions at all? No. Is there any discussion or debate needed? Can I have a mover for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Woodward. Seconded by Councillor Westerman, that the Regulatory Committee approves new public road names within the stage 2 of the residential subdivision of Oroko Rise of Tauhara Ridge Drive. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried.
Easy peasy. Thank you very much.
Easy peasy. Wonderful. All right. Well, that brings the meeting to a close. So I'll ask members to join me in the closing karakia. Unuhia te rito o tēnei hui. Kia wātia I runga, kia wātia I raro, aro ki te tika, aro ki te pai. Hui e tai ki e. Well done.